afternoon, Emilio.
Good afternoon, nice to meet you.
Same. I am an expert in the male reproductive system and I will talk about it.
And I'm an expert in the female reproductive system, and I will explain what I know.
Now, we're going to start to talk about it. The testes are where sperm are manufactured in the scrotum. The epidermis is a vertically coiled structure topping the testes, and it receives immature sperm from the testes and stores it for several days. When ejaculation occurs, sperm is forcibly expelled from the top of the epidermis into the deferent duct. Sperm then travels through the deferent duct to form the spermatic cord in the pelvic cavity, over the ureter, then the prosperous behind into the bladder. Here, the vas deferens joins with the seminal vesicle to form the ejaculatory duct, which passes through the prostate and empties into the urethra. When ejaculation occurs, rhythmic muscle movements propel the sperm forward.
Thanks, Alejandro. Very interesting. But what can you tell me about the male reproductive system besides that?
For sure, I can tell you more. Now I will talk about the organs of the male reproductive system. Unlike the female reproductive system, most of the male reproductive system is located outside the body. These external structures include the penis, scrotum, and testicles. Now I will describe each of them. The penis is the male organ used in sexual intercourse. It has three parts: the root, in which attach the wall of the abdomen, the body or the shaft, and the glans, which is the cone-shaped part at the end of the penis. The glans, also called the head of the penis. Now, the scrotum. This is the loose pouch like a sack of skin that hangs behind and below the penis. It contains the testicles, as well as many nerves and blood vessels. The scrotum acts as a climate control system for the testes. For normal sperm development, the testes must be at a temperature slightly cooler than body temperature. Special muscles in the wall of the scrotum allow it to contract and relax, moving the testicles closer to the body for warmth and farther away from the body to cool the temperature. The testicles, these are oval organs about the size of large olives that lie in the scrotum, secured at either end by a structure called the spermatic cord. Most men have two testicles. The testicles are responsible for making testosterone, the primary male sex hormone, and for generating sperm. Within the testicles are coiled masses of tubes called seminiferous tubules. These tubes are responsible for producing sperm cells.
And do they have internal organs besides the ones that are external?
Of course we have. We have the epidermis. The epidermis is a long cold tube that rests on the back side of each testicle. It transports and stores sperm cells that are produced in the testes. It is also the job of the epidermis to bring the sperm to maturity, since the sperm that emerge from the testes are immature and incapable of fertilization. During sexual arousal, contractions force the sperm into the vas deferens. The vas deferens is a long muscular tube that travels from the epidermis into the pelvic cavity, to just behind the bladder. The vas deferens transports mature sperm to the urethra, the tube that carries urine or sperm to outside of the body, in preparation for ejaculation. Ejaculatory ducts. These are formed by the fusion of the vas deferens and the seminal vesicles. The ejaculatory ducts empty into the urethra. And the urethra is the tube that carries urine, as I mentioned before, from the bladder to outside of the body. In males, it has the additional function of ejaculating semen when the man reaches orgasm. We have the seminal vesicles. The seminal vesicles are sac-like pouches that attach to the vas deferens near the base of the bladder. The seminal vesicles produce a sugar-rich fluid that is called fructose that provides sperm with a source of energy to help them move. The fluid of the seminal vesicles make up most of the volume of men's ejaculatory fluid or ejaculate. Then we have the prostate gland. This is a walnut-sized structure that is located below the urinary bladder in front of the rectum. The prostate gland contributes additional fluid to the ejaculate. Prostate fluid has to have the nourish to sperm. The urethra, which carries the ejaculate to be expelled during orgasm, runs to the center of the prostate gland. Bulbourethral glands, also called Cooper's glands. These are pea-sized structures located on the sizes of the urethra just below the prostate glands. These glands produce clear, slippery fluid that empties directly into the urethra. This fluid serves to lubricate the urethra and to neutralize any acidity that may be presented due to residual drops of urine in the urethra.
Thanks, Alejandro. But now, can you explain me the function of the hypothalamus in the male reproductive system, please?
For sure, I can tell you about the function of the hypothalamus in the male reproductive system. The entire male reproductive system is dependent of hormones, which are chemicals that stimulate or regulate the activity of cells or organs. The primary hormones involved in the functioning of the male reproductive system are follicle-stimulating hormone, that is FSH, luteinizing hormone, LH, and, of course, testosterone. FSH and LH are produced by the pituitary gland located at the base of the brain. FSH is necessary for sperm production, which is the ones that are in the testes. And LH stimulates the production of testosterone, which is necessary to continue the process of spermatogenesis. Testosterone also is important in the development of male characteristics, including muscle and strength, as well as fat distribution, bone mass, and sex drive. Now it's your turn to explain the female reproductive system. What can you tell about it?
For the female reproductive system, we have internal organs. The ovaries are located each one on each side of the upper pelvis. Their function is to produce eggs or oocytes. That process is called oogenesis. Also, we have the oviducts that are also called the fallopian tubes and are located from the ovaries to the uterus. They are responsible for carrying the egg or oocytes from the ovaries to the uterus. And then we have the uterus. In the uterus, the embryo is embedded, and this process is called implantation. The cervix, its function is to allow the flow of menstrual blood from the uterus to the vagina. Then we have the vagina. Its function is to receive the penis during the sexual intercourse. It also serves as the birth canal, and the exit for the monthly menstrual flow. An oocyte is produced during female gametogenesis in the ovary. Then it is transported to the oviduct or fallopian tubes, where the fertilization by sperm may be occurred. Then, when it is fertilized, it is transported to the uterus. The fertilization of the egg takes place in fallopian tube and implantation in the uterus.
Excellent explanation, teammate. Now, you can talk about the function of the hypothalamus in the female reproductive system, please.
From the hypothalamus, we can find the GnRH from the anterior pituitary gland, the FSH and LH. And from the ovaries, we find the estrogen and the progesterone. GnRH, the gonadotropin releasing hormone, stimulates the release of FSH and LH from the pituitary gland. And the FSH is the follicle stimulating hormone. It is involved in production of sex hormones. Then we have the LH, that is the luteinizing hormone that regulates menstrual cycle in females. The estrogen is involved in the development of female secondary sexual characteristics, like, the boobs when they have the milk and all that stuff. And last, we have the progesterone that prepares the uterus for pregnancy.
I have heard about the ovarian cycle, right? You can tell me something about it and explain it and how it's functioning in the female body?
The ovarian cycle is divided in 3 different parts. As you can see here in the diagram, it's divided in the follicular phase, the ovulation, and the luteal phase. First, we have the follicular phase, and here the FSH stimulates the development of a follicle in one of the ovaries. When the follicle matures, the oogenesis is initiated and continues, and the epithelial cells of the follicle multiply and secrete the female sex hormones. Mainly this. The phase comes to an end when the levels of estrogen rise and negative feedback stops and the secretion of FSH, and this is about the day 12 or 13. The estrogen spike causes the secretion of the GnRH, which in turn causes a surge of LH, resulting in ovulation on about day 14. The ovulation is release of the secondary oocyte from the follicle and into the oviduct. After this, the luteal phase begins. During this, LH promotes the development of the corpus luteum, which consists of the follicle cells left behind after ovulation. The corpus luteum secretes female sex hormones, mainly the progesterone.
Amazing explanation, but I understand that we have the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle. Can you talk about it, please?
Sure, besides the ovarian cycle, the females have an uterine cycle, and it is divided in three different parts: the menstruation, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase. The menstruation lasts from day 1 to about day 5, and it consists of the breakdown of the endometrium with blood passing out the vagina. It occurs thanks to the low levels of female sex. The proliferative phase is from day 6 to day 13. It consists of the buildup of the endometrium, which becomes more vascular and glandular, and it is caused by the increased production of estrogen by the new developing follicle. The secretory phase is from day 15 to 28, and it consists of the endometrium doubling or tripling in thickness and uterine glands producing the thick mucus secretion. The secretion is of the progesterone causes this phase. Now the endometrium is prepared to receive a developing embryo. If the implantation and fertilization don't occur, the corpus luteum will degenerate. It results in lower levels of sex hormones that lead to the breakdown of endometrium and menstruation. These cycles are related because the estrogen and the progesterone produced during the ovarian cycle that it was told before affect the endometrium, causing the uterus to undergo to the uterine cycle.
Now I want to talk about the reproductive methods.
And me about the ones of the females. And we have types of birth control. And we have first the abstinence, that is no engaging of any sexual contact. Also we have the tubal ligation, with both oviducts are tied off and the cut, so the sperm can reach the oocyte. Also we have the oral contraception. It contains various mixtures of estrogen and progestins. It prevents pregnancy by negative feedback, and it also prevents the development of the follicle, and estrogen doesn't rise. Also we have the contraceptive implants. They are a small flexible plastic rod that placed under the skin in your upper arm by a doctor or nurse. It releases the hormone progestogen into your bloodstream, and it prevents pregnancy and lasts for 3 days. Then we have the IUD. That is a small object made of plastic, copper, or stainless steel inserted into the uterus, and this causes changes in the endometrium that prevents the implantation of a fertilized egg. Also we have the diaphragm. Sorry for my pronunciation. Fits over cervix, and it stops most sperm from passing into the cervix. Then we have the female condom. There are two flexible rings connected by polyurethane sheet, and one ring lies inside the sheet and are inserted to fit over the cervix. Another ring remains outside the vagina and covers the female external genitals. Then we have the morning after pill. The morning after pill should be taken as soon as possible after unprotected sex.
The male birth control methods, the first one is the vasectomy. If this is sterilization in males, part of each vas deferens is removed, so the sperm is no longer reach the seer. The male condom, which is very famous in the world, it's latex covering placed over an erect penis to prevent sperm from reaching the female reproductive tract. Then we have the coitus interruptus, when the man pulls his penis out of the vagina just before ejaculation. The natural family planning that uses your body natural function to determine the days of the month you are most likely to get pregnant. And the last one, it is the most important and effective method, the abstinence. The male and female condoms are effective to prevent STDs. This is the end of the video.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Thank you, you too, bro.
Hope to see you soon.